Hi everybody, this is On and I'm coming to you with this month's video. Going to take a little interesting twist this month in what I'm going to talk about, but I think it's going to be really interesting for people this month because I'm going to be talking about relationships. And I know a lot of people have different things happening in their relationships depending on the type of it. And I'm sorry, my hair is a little pulled back today because I'm going to be out shoveling snow shortly here. We had a pretty good storm come through Maine, and it's just, it's beautiful. What can I say? It's just beautiful here. It feels like winter now. And so anyways, relationships naturally come up this time of year. Something that happens as we start a new year, a new chapter in our life. Of course, we have the hallmark aspect of Valentine's Day coming up. And so this is all really interesting, and it's been interesting to watch what's happening in relationships for people, because I'm seeing a lot of highs and lows and ups and downs and great things happening and challenging things happening. And of course, we have all kinds of relationships, right? I mean, we have friendships and we have love relationships and we have soulmate relationships and we have partnerships, and there's all kinds of relationships. We have relationships with our animals, right? Our pets, the ones that keep us in that unconditional love space. And so I really want to address some of these pieces because they're real predominant in the codes right now. And we're seeing different aspects from where people could be connecting with soulmate energy right now. They could be finding lost loves returning right now. Relationships that they thought were solid might be breaking up. There's so many pieces that are connected with this whole relationship stuff. Very heavy, very predominant in the codes as we move into February. And, of course, as we're approaching a holiday where the outer world and globally the world celebrates, in a sense, love. It celebrates relationships. And, of course, that has come to a point where, for a lot of people, it's about companies prospering over love. And oftentimes we don't stop and think how much we're programmed as to what love really is, what it's about. We're oftentimes thrust, a lot of cultures, a lot of belief systems throw people into what they say is love or a relationship, maybe even picking that relationship for them. And there's not even necessarily a sense of whether that is a healthy relationship or whether those people want to be in that relationship. So again, there's just so many dimensions to it. But what I want to do is focus on a couple of code aspects with relationships, because one of the big code pieces that are showing up right now here around the new moon and as we go into February is there's a lot of caution about looking at what are true relationships in our life and what is a true relationship for us. There's a lot of aspects that are letting us know to be careful where drama is showing up in our relationships. And yeah, that shows up throughout the year, definitely. But the timing of this right now, because I think as people start new chapters in their life like they do at the new year, and you have a holiday like Valentine's Day that is so predominant, that our mind becomes more focused on it. So when the codes are also lining up to those aspects at a time that there's a lot of global programming going on, then I think it's a good thing to look at. I think it's a good thing for us to explore in this process. So let's start by looking at some of the codes of relationship and what a relationship is for us. Now, there's, again, always multiple aspects, whether we have a single one, whether we have a multiple one going on. And when we look and focus on a single relationship, it's about abundance in our life. And that abundance in life can come from a lot of different ways. Because again, we have our relationship with others, we have our relationship with ourself, and self-relationship is incredibly important because in self-relationship, the abundance comes from our own efforts, our own doing. It comes from being and standing in our own success, doing the things that we know is right and true, so to say, what is authentic, and doing the work with or without getting the recognition. But when we do it from that space, we oftentimes will be recognized in some way or acknowledged for the efforts in some way. But we don't do it for that recognition necessarily. So when we look at relationships, say in a plural, which oftentimes maybe is more casual, we have, right, again, multiple types of relationships. And when we're keeping multiple relationships in our life with a variety of different people, what happens is that we are able to stand stronger in our authenticity. We're able to stand stronger in being free and making our own choices because we're not just locking ourselves into one perception or one idea of things. Now, relationship has the strong tie to our abundance, our harvest, our what we produce. So a relationship in our life actually has a very powerful influence whether we are going to have a strong drive for something or not, whether we are going to have the energy and the effort to see something through, whether we are going to be able to stand strong in bringing something all the way forward to completion where we can not only enjoy it ourselves, but be able to share that with others. And so if a relationship is in its positive and its true form, it is going to help support and nurture abundance in our life. It's going to help and pitch in getting that work done and bringing the successes about in our life. So that can be a really positive thing. If a relationship goes into its distorted form, however, then what we start seeing is our abundance becomes depleted. We can't bring things to fruition. We can't get things to complete. We can't ever get to the harvest, and it becomes just work and work and work and work and work. Now, there's another aspect in relationships that I think many people really are looking for, but they lump it into being a relationship, and that is the aspect of true connection. Now, where there is true connection, this is where a soul is meeting a soul in its divine form. So you have divinity meeting divinity, so to say, and it opens the gateway to unconditional love. It opens the gateway to being compassionate. It opens the gateway to true caring, caring from the God self, caring from the divine self, without ego, without worry, without concern. It's a state of peace. It's a state of calm. And that doesn't mean that a true connection won't ever have its challenges or its areas where it's trying to learn or to grow or things like that, because we're going to experience that in our personal lives no matter what. We're going to experience that as long as we're in a human body, growing, developing, living on this earth in the third dimension. Even if we're a 5-dimensional being or a 10-dimensional being or a 20-dimensional being, whatever you want to say, you're still living in a third-dimensional world. And you're still going to have to contend with those third-dimensional things. The difference is when we are operating from those other dimensional energies, then we're handling things different. We're not getting wrapped up in some of the spirals and the drama, and that's something I want to get into as well, drama in relationships. So it makes a big difference in there in that aspect. So that self-relationship, of course, becomes a great root to whether we have true connection with others or whether we're having relationships that are in authenticity or truth with others, or whether they're in distortion. So that's a big piece right there. So that true connection actually ends up bringing us peace. Even the challenges bring us peace because they are centered in the soul self. They are centered in the soul meeting the soul. They are centered in the soul processes. And when that happens versus being centered in material world processes, then, and coming from a material aspect, then what we get is we get an aspect of peace because we know we're working through something. We know we're moving into that peace. We know that we are surrounded with this unconditional love that's there. Now, one of our big assets to tell whether a relationship is in truth, and I always encourage this because, right, when you first meet somebody and you first connect with somebody, there's so much excitement and there's so much passion there, but it's time. And, you know, I want to thank my friend, actually, Keith Gregory, because he's been working on a relationship that he's getting a chance to see how that's going to unfold. And even though they're just getting ready to meet, they have given themselves many months of connecting. And they're probably connecting in a way that's much deeper than many relationships I see. But every relationship seems to be exciting at the beginning, right? It seems that there's maybe a chemistry that's there. There's maybe something that just excites us. And oftentimes it's because it's something new. It's a change. It's an indication that we've made some sort of transformation. When something is new, it's indicating a shift or a transformation. So that's oftentimes why we get excited over that. And we're standing in a strong space oftentimes when we're dealing with something new. So we get this rush. The endorphins are rushing. The chemicals are moving through our body in a way that is saying yay and excitement and possibility. And we're tuned into all of these aspects that are on divine and abundant energy flow. But when we give something time, what happens is we get to see it unfold, and we get to start to see the authenticity. We get to start to see what is really happening there. And this is where relationships thrive or fall apart oftentimes, because when we say the test of time, you know, the test is not about obviously God testing us, but it is about, you know, how we're going to see how strong that relationship is, and we're going to see how true that relationship is, and we're going to find out if there's a true connection there within that relationship. Because when things get a little bumpy and a little rough, that's when we're going to find out what we really have there. If there's not a true relationship, it's going to dissolve. There's going to be other pieces like drama that are going to come up in that relationship. So time is really an observational piece. And when there's true connection, people get excited that it may shift or change a little bit in the connection. Some of the glamour may wear off, but the feelings get deeper and deeper. The feelings grow with more time. There can be more of an attachment, which may not be healthy in some cases, but time will always show us the truth in something. And time is about observing. Time is about looking at things from every perspective. You know, not just the way you're seeing them, but how are other people seeing that relationship, right? Because sometimes we can't see everything. And taking those different pieces in and just being in observation with them. What time does when it connects with a relationship is that it will show us the hidden aspects of somebody. It will show us the hidden components that are being woven through that relationship. And it will show us what is really there. So if we're willing to observe, if we're willing to look, if we're willing to watch, if we're willing to see, we are going to be able to see what is really there in that relationship. So it's a very powerful tool, and we need to be open and decide how we're going to deal with it. Time can polarize us, or it can bring us together. if we can make what is opposite or different within ourselves, then that relationship will strengthen. If we cannot bring our differences into harmony or agreement or union in a relationship, then we will polarize. So it's a very interesting piece that happens. Now, when we add time to true connection, what we find is that the spiritual unfolds. All of the material pieces will start to dissolve in a true connection. So anything that was the material substance within a true connection will dissolve. And when that happens, we get down to raw spirit. We get down to raw divine, soul-to-soul process. And this is where oftentimes true connections, one of the things they will experience is a financial drop-off in that connection. They will be oftentimes maybe stripped or removed of worldly goods, finances. There may be health issues that come up, physical challenges. Somebody may end up, in a stroke or paralyzed or having to be cared for or things like that. And so where there's true connection, it's all about the soul process, and the other person is happy to step up and make that care. The other person will do that naturally. And the love is so deep that they are going to be there in that process, in the hard times, in the challenges. And the beautiful part of this is that the spiritual piece really unfolds, and you really get to experience and be a part of the divine aspects that open up through true connection. Excuse me. So in that true connection, what we find is that if people can release those material aspects and stand strong regardless of the material world circumstances, they will become strong on their own as their own unit. They will be able to open up and they will be able to experience a more spiritual way of living, a spiritual lifestyle. This is a relationship type, a connection that they may not even have to have physical presence with each other, and that connection is still there. It may become more of an ethereal than a physical connection, or they may go off and be more on their own than being in integration with other people, because there's a wholeness there for them. There is a way of living that they want to be in that is so unconditional and so pure. And this is oftentimes what many people seek. And excuse me, the challenge with true connection, though, is to constantly be celebrating the relationship. And it is constantly to be about finding that balance between taking care of your body in a way and your material world needs that you don't have to suffer. And when I say that, I mean, suffering, of course, is an internal piece, but we also need to make sure that those basic needs are taken care of. And so that type of relationship ends up living a lot more on trust, a lot more on faith, to be provided for. And they'll oftentimes be in a much simpler lifestyle. But again, I think the thing about true connection, and I wanted to bring this up because some people have asked me about this recently, it seems like that connection is there whether we see each other regularly or don't see each other regularly. And I know even in just experiences in life that there are a couple of connections there that were true connections that went their own ways at one point, and she never saw them again physically, but that connection was still there. And that is a piece of true connection, because in true connection, there's immortality. So that means it is not restrained to the physical presence, and it is not restricted to just face-to-face communication or face-to-face presence. It is there regardless of whether you ever have physical contact or not with that person. So I wanted to bring that up, some of those differentiations. Now, the next piece I want to get onto is about drama. Because one of the things the Code talks about is watch out for that drama that shows up in relationships, right? Watch out for where that surfaces, because it's such a big indicator of where things are truly in flow, what is true, what is authentic, what is not. And, again, it doesn't mean that there may not be some challenges along the way, but there's a difference between challenges and drama. And when we look at drama in particular, drama is something that creates stress and anxiety in a situation or connection, in this case, and has a lot more to do with control, with domination, with judgments, and these are the roots of where a lot of that stress and anxiety is coming from. Now, a big piece of that stress and anxiety is that there's a lot of distortions going on when we have drama. So if we were to just look at drama in its positive aspect of stress, it would be that tension that is bringing us home to ourself, that's taking us on a journey so that we can learn things, learn how to care for ourselves and others better, and that teaches us how to work and be in wisdom in the soul self with others. When drama, the way we normally experience drama in our life, comes up, it goes into its distortions. And there's oftentimes anger, and there's oftentimes a lot of hidden things that are going on that is creating the stress and the trauma and the fear and all of that to come about. So what is happening is that there's a lot of insecurity where drama is. And I say that because the people that create drama are looking for connection. They're looking for a sense of home. And they're not finding that in themselves, and they want to find it in somebody else, and they're not getting that in somebody else, or they're not believing that it exists there. And they also are not embracing the process at hand. They're resisting it. And that resistance creates the turbulence. Whereas when we embrace the processes and we embrace the journey of it all, then it opens a new aspect, a new door there that can be really powerful for us to grow from, like the stress that creates growth, which I've talked about in the past. When we are in these heavy-duty drama distortions, we are not making wise choices. We might be thinking we're making wise choices, and we're not. We are turning the truth around. We are justifying what we're doing. We're trying to convince others that we're doing the right thing or the wise thing, and we're not. We're making poor choices. We are seeking to be cared for. So that imbalances a relationship or connection, because we're seeking for somebody to take care of us, to mother us, basically, to provide that nurturing energy for us. Of course, we can't get any of these things if we are not giving them to ourselves. And so we start operating more and more unwisely in the situation. when drama enters it. So what happens when drama enters a relationship, either it is going to break that relationship up, or we will break free with that relationship. So it is going to, in some ways, it's either going to break something open or it's going to break it down and break it apart in an aspect. So when that happens, and I'm just checking some notes here that I had down here, drama literally is creating a split. And when we connect that to the relationship aspect and we bring drama into a relationship, it magnifies, and I'm sorry, I think everything just went a little bit darker here. It magnifies the tension and the stress in a relationship. Okay? And when we connect it with true connection, we start doing a lot of lies, and that's where the betrayal comes in. And that's where we're going to find out whether something is or is not a true connection. Because if we go into the lies through our drama and the deception pieces, and we have to start deceiving other people, there is no true connection anymore. We break that. Now, when we set ourselves free as a result of drama, or we step into becoming free as a result of it, then what we're doing is actually reconnecting with our own power. We're reconnecting with taking command of the situation. We are taking command of our life again, and we are taking charge of things. We are stepping into that true leadership position. We are embracing the needs of each person in it, and we are taking a break or a pause. So to free ourselves from something is literally to take a break or a pause to reflect on what needs to be learned and the lesson at hand, and to make a decision whether we are truly passionate about that relationship or connection or not, and whether they are truly passionate about us, or whether they are simply needing all of this stuff because they're not living in wisdom, they're not making smart choices, they won't embrace their processes, and they're looking for somebody else to care for them instead of caring for themselves. So a lot of powerful pieces, as you can see, and I wanted to bring that up because drama is such a great indicator of where things are and are not working in our life. And drama, just by the mere fact of what I've shared with you, we know that where people are making unwise choices and they're operating in these needy spaces and they're refusing to do their own processes and they're looking for other people to care for them, they're looking for the validation outside of themselves, and they're not centering into the home within them, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be lies and deceptions, and that's going to take us down a path that we don't like. So it's oftentimes a wiser choice to let go of drama when it's in the early stages, because the longer we hang on to relationships that are full of drama, the harder it is to step out of them and to regain our command, because that drama breaks down our ability to take charge of our life again. So the longer we're in it, the harder it is to regain our own self-control, our own personal space, our own way of standing in spirit. And when we lose that aspect of command, then we become at the mercy of other people. And that's where we open up a ton of victim patterns, a ton of aspects that are not what we want to deal with and not where we want to put our energy. because that just continues to perpetuate the global aspects of fear and breakdown and disharmony. And as soulful people, that's not our truth. That's not our way of being. So I think that's a lot to digest this month, and I probably got on a lot longer than I thought I would. A longer video again this month, so hang in there. Let's breathe into some of this. I'm going to get my singing bowl up here. I have this one with me, my nice big deep one, because this has, it's deep, but it's also a little bit lighter. So what it's going to do is those challenging, and I'm going to see if I can get some more light. I apologize for this. Those challenging pieces of the root chakra energy, which can become so distorted. Yes, it can be powerful. It can be healing. It can bring connection, but it can also bring in drama and confusion if we're not careful. So this has both that deep resonance and it has that lighter energy to elevate it into the soulful heart, unconditional love space. So let's start. Let's just get a couple of deep breaths in. And kind of hold it a little at the top and then really strongly out. And let it go all the way out, push it a little bit further. And let's breathe in again. Hold it. And exhale really good. And exhale a little bit more. Breathe in again. Hold it. And exhale. And exhale a little further. And now let your breathing just be relaxed, calm, in its normal flow. I want you to just center in for a minute and consider what true connection is. Where have you felt that? Who have you felt that with in your life? And think for a moment where true relationship is in your life. Those that really allow you to thrive and be abundant. Those that you really want to celebrate. Now take a moment to express mentally, visually, however that works for you, your deep appreciation for those true connections and true relationships. Now take the time to consider those relationships that are in your life that are full of drama right now. Where you really feel a little bit of maybe disconnection, frustration, where your peace is disrupted from them. And you might really love and care for those people, but it's still happening. And I want you to let those people know that you really love them, you really care for them, and yet you need to let go of this drama now. Let them know, as an energy of life and light and pure love, that while you love them, you will not participate in the drama. You will not be in that competition. You will not be in that drain. And you will not live in the distortion of divine truth. Let them know that they are welcome to stand in a space of unconditional love with you. They are welcome to be in the divine light and pure relationship with you, in true connection. But they will have to let go of the drama to do that. And always as we release somebody, place them in love so that they can find love. We always release them from the heart and wish for them to grow and connect. And know that if this relationship is meant to go further, if it is meant to remain in your life, then so it will transform. The drama will be released and you can move forward. If the relationship has lived its time, then it is time to part ways, because nobody can benefit at this point. So be in appreciation for what you have had, and the good times and the joys. And choose to remember that person in love. Choose to remember them when they did stand in their soul self. Breathe into that, nice and deep. And take a deep, deep breath for yourself, and a moment of stillness, a moment of peace for yourself. And allow your own connection. And consider the relationship that you have with yourself. Are you standing in true connection with yourself? Or are you creating your own drama? Honesty frees you from that drama. Love yourself. And now take a couple of deep breaths. Take time to just come back, reconnect with your body, reconnect with your space, your place. True connection is a beautiful thing, as are relationships. But it's very important that if drama shows up, that we release it and that we allow it to be a tool of growth for us. And that we don't allow it to reside and take up home and become an ongoing thing. Drama is not there to be permanent. It's meant to be dissolved, and dissolved quickly. I'm going to let you rest into this, and I so appreciate you tuning in and joining me and taking part in these meditations every month. And, we have, like I said, incredible winter weather here right now. And, soon I will be able to get back out. I've had a few physical challenges myself lately, so being outside has not been an option for me this year like it was last year. But if you'd like to delve more into working with the codes and seeing what the influences are and what's going on and understanding them, what is happening in our world, what is happening with people, what is going on, then pick up your own copy of the Code Journey, because you're going to love working with it. It is what most people consider a game changer. It's life-changing. It will transform your life in ways that are so beautiful that you can't even imagine some days. And I don't start my day without it. It's like a meditation or something that just helps me to understand how to face my day and to be ready to handle things from my soul self. Bless all of you. Your light is beautiful, so keep standing in it. Take care. I'll see you next month, everybody. And by the way, I am restarting the Code Journey study session, so you can message me to find out more about it. I do it through Learn It Live, and we are starting that back up January 25th, 2020. Actually, 24th. Sorry. Got my dates off. Friday, 24th. Take care, everybody.